Okay. Well, picking up here, we already did walk through the introductions and the plan for the month, and we are talking tonight about electrification planners, and I will walk through some discussion on that. I think I saw Bob Sewell had joined, Cooper Mark from Rewiring America, and Cooper Marcus from Quit Carbon may also be joining us. So I look forward to having them talk about and add to what I'm going to go through tonight, which is basically home electrification planners. So these are. This is an action that CCL will be asking everyone to pursue if you haven't already done it in the month of August. And basically, it helps you lay out a plan for how you might electrify your home. It can be a bit intimidating. It can sometimes be challenging, but this kind of helps you walk through the process and set your objectives. I have done it. I'm about 80% done electrifying mine, and I'm happy to share my experiences. Anyone else who has electrified their homes also welcome that tonight. So what do these planners do? So they basically have you describe your home, identify your objectives, put in the information about your situation, and then generate a plan. And this is all done online. And what I'm going to do is walk through 4 of them tonight. So Rewiring America, Quit Carbon, Elephant Energy, and Canopy. I'm gonna go into some depth on the Rewiring America. They're a CCL partner that we work closely with. And also Quit Carbon, who's a partner. They're a bit different. I'd like to kind of compare and contrast those a little bit, and then go a little bit more at a higher level through Elephant Energy and Canopy. So with that said, we'll dive into to the Rewiring America one, and the link, and we'll share all these slides after in the show notes and afterwards. But so the link on each of these, the link is on the first page of the section. So as I said, all of these start off basically having you log in, create your own account. And then, Rewiring America, it's just a very simple, get started. There's a homeowner version and there's a rent your home, and I'll come back to the rent your home later on at the end of this. So basically, it asks you your address. It asks you your home type. It gives you if everyone could mute who isn't talking, appreciate it.
Mark, if you want to make me a co-host, I can watch for that. Where's Lisa?
Yeah, I'll keep an eye on it too. Thank you. So you enter your address, you select the type of home, and I think it's a house or a townhome, a condominium. Gives you a variety of choices, but you do have to enter your address. And then it asks you, then it basically finds your home. And what I've done here is I filled this out for my home as it was a couple of years ago. As I said, I'm getting pretty far down the electrification path, but I wanted to kind of provide a reference here so the plans come out with the right example. So you put in the size of your home, and largely, I live in California, so it's largely gas based. We didn't have we had centralized ducts, forced air heating. We didn't have any air conditioning, and everything else is basically just gas. And it pulled up this picture. I didn't put in this picture, so Rewiring America found my home and did a Google Earth view of it. And then you select what is of interest to you. You know, why do you want to electrify? So it gives you half a dozen choices here. I highlighted when I was looking at this a couple of years ago, I wanted to lower my energy bills. I wanted to lower my climate impact. It only gives you a couple of choice. I would have also wanted to maximize my government incentives, but these were my top two motivations. You can also deal with health issues or future-proofing your home, or just kind of upgrade all your appliances. So pretty simple, straightforward questions. Does want to know about your situation with your vehicle. Is it, it's still internal combustion engine? Do you have an EV? If so, how are you charging it? I think this may tie into their interest on solar and using solar and recommending car chargers, things like that. They want to understand that. And then your, household income. So I just put in some, income numbers here, not my actual income, but just as an example. And, your taxes. This is related to your incentives and the rebates that you're eligible for. So then even down below, it tells you no upfront discounts, but you're eligible for, broad range of tax credits. And that's one of the motivations for Rewiring America and why they are doing this, to actually get the word out on the availability of these incentives. I think the main reason why the upfront discounts aren't showing yet is those have to be implemented by the state, and most states are still going through the process of making the rebates available. Unfortunately, it's taken a lot longer than was expected. So I think that's the main things that they ask for. And from that, here's the electrification plan. So get a home energy audit, pre-wire your home. It goes through, installing panels, buy different, indoor and outdoor appliances. And then you can view each project. And I'll go through a couple of these, and it shows, since we do have, even, a couple of years ago, we did have an EV. So it's showing that that's a completed project for me. I guess you can take an entire tour, which will walk you through everything. So it's a, pretty thorough evaluation of kind of the things that you may want to consider in electrifying. So this is, I go through, as I said, I go through a few of these as an example. So this is an energy audit. So if and that's kind of always recommended. We didn't do an energy audit. Pretty familiar with what is available in my unit. Besides, we were under a huge amount of construction when we started to electrify. So we didn't do an energy audit, but basically it is encouraged. It's a good idea. It's not very expensive, or it can even be free. I mean, some utilities offer energy audits for free, but it's under $1,000 in typical. It takes less than a day. And the idea is to give you feedback on your situation and what you may want to do in optimizing the electrification steps that you take. And then Rewiring America actually gives you more guides and advice on what to look for when doing an energy audit. And you can find energy auditors in your area. Click on their network and it will link you up or give you names who you can contact. So energy audit is always recommended. The big drivers of, in your carbon footprint, if you're, in a heavily gas or oil-based area, are going to be your space heating. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, but your space heating and your water heating. So what Rewiring America does is make some recommendations on basically a heat pump, adding a heat pump, converting from your gas furnace or your current resistive electric, if that's what you have, moving to a heat pump because they're so much more energy efficient. And if you click this, read more about heat pumps, it goes into great depth. If you don't understand the technology or want to learn more about it, and it also encourages this weatherization. So these answers here are tailored to the input that I provided. So it talks about, what are the benefits? It talks about your energy bill impact and your climate footprint impact. So this actually came back and said that we should expect our energy bill to go up. That has not been our experience. Our energy bill has actually gone down by about 20 to 30%. I tracked that for the first several months after we installed it, relative to what it would have been if we had continued with gas. It also identifies the tax credits that you're eligible for, and and we did file for those. Wow. Last year we did that installation, and we did file for them and just put them on to obtain our tax credit. And then it gives you some estimated range of costs for the heat pump, and this is about in the range of what it actually cost us. The other big thing that I mentioned was the heat pump water heater. Similar kind of scenario here, where it kind of walks you through what it is, what the technology is. You can drill down into the details, gives you the cost and benefits, any rebates that you're eligible for, and basically contacting contractors. So it gives you all that information. Similarly, we didn't see much of a change in our energy costs. I think it maybe even went down a little bit relative to gas. And we're in a very expensive, San Diego is where I live, and we're in a very expensive electricity area. But the heat pump water heaters are so efficient compared to gas that even though gas is much less expensive than, in energy costs than electricity, the efficiency gain overwhelmed the actual increase in cost. We will next year. We just installed the heat pump water heater this year. So I will take the tax write-off at federal level. The thing I'm not showing here is the state level. California had a big incentive, bigger than the tax credit, than the tax credit. So the actual cost of installing the heat pump water heater was less than the cost of installing the gas water heater the last time we installed one. And this is about the range. Heat pump water heaters are more expensive, but when you get when you factor in the tax credit and if you have any state, then it may actually be substantially. We were less than this amount with all the credits. So that's kind of the overview. And as I showed you, there's a lot of other information you can drill down in if you want to. Let's talk about renters. That there's not as much that can be offered to renters basically at the high level that Rewiring America operates. Basically, you click that you're a renter, and it takes you to this page and says, here's what you can do. You can buy a new or used EV, plug that in locally. Get an induction cooktop if you have a gas range in your apartment. Get an induction cooktop and start using that. They do point to community solar, which is a good idea. Or if you have your own electric bill, in my area, our CCA actually has 100% green option. So doesn't necessarily have to be community solar. I think community solar may be a way to cut your bill, but if you're equally concerned just about your carbon footprint, then you may just be able to go 100% green through your utility. And homeowners can do that also if you don't have solar. Or even if you do have solar on the grid. So that's Rewiring America. I'm going to move on to Quit Carbon here, and I saw that that Cooper joined us. So Cooper, keep an eye on me that I get things right, and make sure I cover everything. If not, then please, when we get to the Q&A, please feel free to add on. Quit Carbon drills in a bit deeper than Rewiring America. So same starting question basically is, where do you live? Ask for a lot of kind of personal and login information on, setting up your account. Again, it found my house, went to the county records or something and found out all the details. I didn't have to enter it for Quit Carbon. And then it basically guides you to, here are the things. There's a bunch of screening and scheduling questions, because Quit Carbon's in the business of helping you electrify as a service. They offer that. And then they, ask you to focus in on these 4 areas. I want to know about your electrical system, your utilities, your home envelope, and add an appliance. And so this is the home profile. Again, they get into a lot more. Rewiring America didn't ask about all these things, but how big is your electrical panel? What kind of electrical service do you have, and where's your panel located? Do you have room to hook up more things? And do you have any sub panels? We actually did have to go through this we added a sub panel, and we actually added in my situation, and we added a switching circuit between our induction stovetop and the EV, so that if the stovetop is on, then the EV is not charging if there's demand from the EV at that time. So there was a bit of electrical work, and we had an electrician that we worked with, and it went pretty smoothly. They do ask for your utility account. If you, and this, maybe some sensitivity about sharing this information, but if you do, I can tell you, if you have kind of advanced meter reading by your utility, it can make a huge difference on what you have to do with your electrical panel. We found out that if you use kind of the standard conservative metrics that the electricians have you walk through, it was, because it's so conservative, it was saying that our panel was actually going to be overloaded. But after we got the data, the actual data from the utility, I think it was hourly data that we had, we could use a different computation, and it turned out that rather than being 120% over on our panel load, we were 50% under. So if you do have access to this data, I would encourage you to explore it. And then there's a lot, again, Quit Carbon dives into your home envelope. I think they ask you to do a lot of this so that you don't have to fill out the form verbally on a phone call. But you know, how well is your house insulated? How thermally efficient are your windows? Do you have comfort issues? Do you have cooling? Or do you need cooling? We added cooling when we added the heat pump. We had never had that before. And now we're using it in the summer a little bit. Then it gives you a choice of adding all these different appliances. The same, pretty much the same list as we saw in Rewiring America. Again, you've given Quit Carbon a lot more data, so they're able to kind of make these computations and ask you a series of drop-down questions that you can answer on what you're interested in doing. And then they give you a plan, and you can plan and potential cost savings are presented in all of these options, and you can drill deeply into all of these. They have a tremendous amount of information that you can drill down and then continue to drill down, both on what the appliances are and what your potential cost savings and benefits might be, and rebates. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go into as much detail. Elephant Energy is another option that it's another electrification planner, and we just want to present the kind of the waterfront here of options for you, so that when you do your electrification plan in August as part of the CCL electrification month, then you'll know what these options are. Again, the link is here for you, but basically it's pretty much the same kinds of questions, a little bit more on, what are your problems? Do you already thinking about a project? What's your timetable? A little bit more about the age of your appliance. Then they have one difference in that you have to provide me your email, and they email you your plan. And this is what they email you. And so you get this plan, again, similar kind of thing as we've seen previously, but you can actually drill deeper. You can drill to a summary level, and then you can go really deep on each of these items. This is the way they've organized it. The last one's Canopy. I got to this through Electrify Oregon, but Canopy, I think, is separate from Electrify Oregon. And they're much more visual. It's the same kind of questions, same kind of approach. A lot of these click on the graphic kind of approach. A lot of graphics. So, much more, just a different user interface, much more visual. But they basically, what are the kind of appliances you want? What kind of, electricity are you looking for, or do you get? And what kind of cars do you have? And, what are you interested in doing? And they then give you a series of guides, and you can drill into to each of these guides. So the last three of these, so Rewiring America doesn't really, they don't provide a service, they just provide information. These other three provide services. They do ask for your contact information. Some of it may be for, kind of lead generation. I don't think they share your information unless you ask them to. So, just be aware, some people are sensitive to lead gen, and be aware that these do have that. So in summary, this is kind of an overall table comparison of the four electrification planners here. So they all ask for personal information and home location and home profile. Most of them ask for, what are your objectives? A couple of them ask for, what's your car? There's only one that, there's only one that asks for your actual utility connection. info. Well, it actually your utility connection, and Canopy asks for your utility info, but doesn't ask for your utility login. Quick Carbon, as I said, dives deeply into the home envelope, which is interesting. I think is really beneficial to understand that. Most of them ask about your specific appliances. What Elephant Energy dives into, what do you really specifically ask? What are your current issues? Rewiring America asks for your income because they are trying to tell you what rebates and or tax credits you're eligible for. All of them give you a recommended plan and a drill down, and Elephant Energy asks for, kind of what timetable are you working on? So that's kind of the overall overview of these planners. I guess any other planners that anyone recommends, and I guess the ask here is plan to make your own plan during CCL's Electrification Month if you haven't already done it. So I will stop sharing.
Mark?
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that kind of a plug for Quick Carbon as a sort of neutral user. I went in and did put in my information. I'm partway through electrification. I have a couple of heat pumps and a hot water heat pump. And it did all the things that you described in terms of if you putting in the input, getting out the output. But the nice thing too is they offer a 20-minute to half-hour session with a coach or an advisor on the other side, which I did to see how that went, and very useful in terms of answering questions, clarifying any confusion about some of the data that may come out if you're not, highly in tune with that sort of stuff. So I think that matters too. That's a big plus in my mind.
Great. Yeah, and so Bob Sewell or Cooper, if you have, did I get it right? Did I say anything that was wrong or misinterpreted, or any other things you'd like to add?
Well, thanks, Mark. I'll just comment on the Rewiring America. I haven't yet seen the Quick Carbon, but I definitely want to dive into it now that you've shown it and play with that one too. But I thought you did an excellent job of showing the Rewiring America planner. As you said, there's a lot of information if you want to drill down in the links that you didn't show all those, but you can learn all about heat pumps and everything. So it's very good on that. They are constantly updating it, so it's always a work in progress. From my point of view, I mean, it's very useful. From my point of view, the limitation it has is the same one that we all run into when we're helping people to electrify their homes, which is that every home is unique. And it's very hard to capture that in a planning tool. So, whether it's wiring issues or the duct system, or, there's always unique issues for every house. So it's hard for them to have a program that generalizes every situation and is going to be accurate for a particular house. But it's a very useful starting point. The other thing that they just started working on that's definitely limitation in its current state is, and one of the things that most people always want to have, which is help with, okay, who do I go to? Which contractors should I rely upon that are reputable, high quality, and aren't going to try to sell me gas or something like that. And that's pretty rudimentary right now in the current setup, but they're working on that. One thing that has improved a lot is the incentives. I played with a little bit earlier today, and for my state of Virginia, of course, the IRA rebates aren't there yet because they're not implemented, as you said, but they do have the Dominion Energy local utility rebates in there. So, that they're doing that across the country gradually so that you'll be able to see not just the federal IRA incentives, but the other ones. So, but like I said, it's a very useful tool. I think I've given them some comment when I beta tested it for them. And the one thing that I think it could really use is kind of an overview, kind of a forest view of, because most people are kind of overwhelmed if they're not already in this space. They're kind of overwhelmed with all these items. And so I think most people usually want to have kind of a picture painted of what should I start with? How do I look at how do I view all the trees from a forest point of view? But it's a very useful tool, and I think you did a very good job of summarizing it.
Thanks, Bob. Cooper, you have I see a lot of chat. So, thanks for clarifying a lot of that. But do you have anything
thing.
else?
Yeah. Thanks, Bob, and thanks everybody for checking out these tools. Great screenshots. Most of what you showed, Mark, is optional. We can make you a plan with just your address. The problem is it's not very specific and won't be very useful. So we take the approach of giving you more when you give us more. So tell us more about your home, your appliances. You are able to express your priorities, and we'll be able to give you more specifics in terms of how we suggest you save the most and get the most in getting your home off of fossil fuels. Indeed, as mentioned, we provide free advice, live advice. So you can call us, chat with us, book a time to call with us. We won't come to your home, but we will talk with you live anytime and help you tell us details or understand how to make progress. We maintain a great network of contractors that we're constantly expanding. So we will connect you with folks when you're ready to actually entertain a bid. And fundamentally, like, why are we making a plan? We're making a plan so we could do a thing, right? And the thing we're trying to do is move our homes off of fossil fuels. So I would, I'm happy to admit we are biased, right? We have a stake in this. We want folks to get to the point of considering purchases from contractors, and we help make that happen with our analysis, which helps typically scope down these projects. We tend to advise things that are smaller than what contractors recommend and cheaper. And also with the rebate optimization, even more so than Rewiring America, we know about what's changing in rebates. So you may see in the plans we generate for you, which are constantly being updated, an alert that a rebate is going away and you might want to hurry, or that a new rebate is coming and you might want to slow down. It pains us to say, keep burning gas for a little while, but for some folks, that's the best option, right? If we can save the money. So we put a lot of effort into understanding what's going on over the course of time. One more thing, I don't know if you mentioned it, Mark, we serve California currently. We wish we were in other states. We would love to be in more states. The number one thing we need to get into other states is local partners. So if you have an active CCL chapter, if you have relationships with your local utility, your local city sustainability department, please let us know. It is possible for us to come to a new place, but we need friends there. If you're our friend in a new spot, let us know. We'll try to come to your community. Thank you.
Hey, Cooper, just as and Lisa asked about that too, so thanks for mentioning that. The planner works anywhere, right? Or is it specific to California?
It is specific to California right now, and that's because of the energy and economic model that underlies the planner. We have various assumptions built into it about the local climate, about how the utilities behave, also all of the knowledge we have about incentives and how contractors work, what their pricing is like, what their behavior is like. That's all localized in California right now. So unfortunately, you won't be able to utilize our plan outside of California, but we really want to change that. And we want to do it with you.
Great, thank you. Okay, any other comments or questions or other planners that folks have run across? Because we would want to make sure we're covering the waterfront in preparation for Electrification Month. Yeah, so I see a Deanville C. You need to unmute, yeah.
Hello. Yes. I guess I've been trying to get my parents to go solar with this company called Georgia Bright in Georgia. They utilize all the tax credits and all the, for some reason, really hard for them to buy in, I guess. Um, I've done Rewiring America. I don't know what else it would take. I mean, what do I want to say? Apparently my father just feels bothered by the salesperson rather than helped, even though he's gone through the whole process and I mean, he has the plans for how much it'll cost, how much it'll save. I mean, I just don't know what else to,
Yeah,
because he's been in contact with the salesperson too.
yeah,
I mean-
so, it's unfortunately Jay Bassett couldn't join us tonight. He's in your area. He's in Atlanta and he's been
Yeah.
actively involved in getting solar onto homes and sometimes at no cost to the
Yeah.
homeowner.
I guess
Um,
people are just stubborn sometimes. That's
Yeah.
what it seems like. Parents,
yeah,
and I guess they are a bit cash strapped. It seems like still a good deal for them.
yeah.
But yeah,
Keep working on them. And we can, if you want, probably could connect you with Jay and he may know some programs local to you.
thank you.
Sure. So, Bill Nash?
Yeah, thank you. I just want to offer a word of caution when it comes to contractors. Our house is of the age where a lot of our fossil fuel appliances are going out, and our water heater was going out in January, well, actually December, and decided to replace it with a heat pump water heater. And went through all the normal processes of checking contractors with the manufacturer recommended installers. And there was a very attractive California incentive at the time. It was with the switches on. It's a California Clean Tech incentive. And the contractor is supposed to fill out the paperwork and push it through the system, and the rebate is returned to them and they return it to you. Well, that hasn't happened for me. So I am very frustrated. And so
How long has it been, Bill?
well, the heat pump was installed at the end of January, and we had some family health issues that really distracted me for a long time, and I didn't get back to them until the 1st of March. And they've just been putting me off and pointing me in 15 different directions, and they will not return calls or emails anymore. So I'm just, it's not
Well,
right. You get.
Yeah, I did get my rebate check from switches on. But it took 4.5 months. So it may still be working on it, but I did follow through with them, so.
Well, part of the problem, the heat pump has it's Econet software, and it says that I have chosen to override my utilities schedule, and that was the contractor, they installed it and ran, and they didn't do any of the heat pump setup. So I had to go out the next day. They promised me hot water in the morning, and there wasn't any. And this was after 3 days of messing around with them. So I had to go out and set it up myself.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah, this is a long story.
Share my experience with you offline if you like.
I would like to, yes.
Okay. So yeah, Cooper and Michael have their hands up. Go ahead, Cooper.
Sure, just a quick one on the person, sorry, I didn't catch the name, asking about how to help their parents go solar. You know, I do want to point out there's a big difference between solar and the rest of what we're talking about. Solar for most folks is optional, right? You could get it, you could not, and there are other ways to achieve, in some places at least, cleaning up of your electricity supply. I hope that the folks on this call are clear that reducing the combustion of fossil fuel in our homes is probably, for most homes, most people, much more important. It's much more important for the climate. And maybe even more importantly, it's more important for the transformation of our market. We need to make heat pumps and electric options the norm, not the exception. And everybody needs hot water. Everybody needs heating and cooling. Making sure that those appliances are electrified, I think that's the challenge we face. Getting folks on solar, yeah, that's also nice. That can be good. But let's keep in mind that might be a luxury, whereas hot water and heat and cool is a necessity. And the choice is, do you do it with fossil fuel or with clean and safe electricity? Thanks.
Thanks, Cooper. Yeah, Michael.
Yeah, I was just going to say there's some chat about energy bills, and you had mentioned that your bill had gone up, Mark, and I think we just got to remember that's the monthly bill is only part of the story and will reflect usage and the relative cost of electricity versus gas or oil or whatever. But really, you got to look at the life cycle cost. So you need to factor in what would it cost you if you did replace that gas furnace, and what's it going to cost in the future, and you got to factor in the rebate. So you have to look at, not just the energy bill at a point in time, but over time, and then factoring in the upfront costs, and not just the upfront costs on the heat pump side, but what you would be spending if you stuck with fossil fuel machine.
Yeah, so my heating costs have gone down. They were down like 20 to 30%. We didn't have air conditioning before, so my summer costs have gone up a little bit, but now we have air conditioning. So it is a balance, but I completely agree, Mike. The life cycle is going to be less too, I think. Okay, any other comments? Spencer, are you raising your hand?
Yeah, hey Mark. And for some reason the Zoom raise hand option isn't in front of me. First off, thanks so much for including me in the group. It's great to kind of just jump into the conversation. Mark was generous enough to invite me and have an initial conversation. So thank you for including with me. Good to see you, Cooper. Yeah, so I think Cooper kind of started a cool conversation. I'll just kind of add a couple of ideas from somebody who's worked in the industry supporting people with home energy projects. I think and what was the gentleman's name who brought up his parents? Is it?
Looking for it.
I'll have to go with the gentleman who brought up his parents for now, but I think the best place to start is what do your parents care about? Because there's all kinds of solutions. The electrification solutions may have amazing rebates right now in the area, and he may be able to do some really good decarbonization there. Or solar could be a great solution for him. Some people like solar because it can provide such a big change on a cost structure immediately and create a big win that can create kind of more momentum and excitement about a home energy project. But I would start with like, what do they care about? What matters to them? Is it, if they're on a budget, is it about saving money? Is it their comfort in their home? Is it their health and the air quality? Because once we determine and kind of discover what they really care about, what really matters to them, then you kind of have this array of solutions that will be available for them to both achieve what they care about and decarbonize, right? Because if we make it all about save the world, which we're all here for, and it doesn't impact kind of what matters to them on a day-to-day basis, it might fall short. But if you can connect to what they really care about, then it turns out that a lot of solutions actually impact like quality of life for people. So that would be my recommendation on how to open up the conversation with them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. The electrification planners can walk you through it. Some of them get very specific on what do you feel is your problem. So that's a really good suggestion. Bob, I see your hand up. Bob Sewell.
Well, thanks. Yeah, I was just gonna come back to the point you covered, Mark, when you were going through the plans of whether you save money or not on an operating cost basis. And your experience was a little different than what the planners indicated. When I did the planner, it shows that I would save money for my heat pump, and that's not really true here, given the price of natural gas that we have today, at least in Virginia. And that's, as you know, from I think, Mark, that it really depends on the local relative energy prices, as well as the equipment you have in your house now and what you're replacing and what you're replacing it with. So you really do have in these planners, that's an example of what the point I made earlier about every house is unique. So in these planners, you really do have to be careful about the estimates of savings because it's going to depend upon where you are, the local prices and your particular house. So that's just a word of caution for people.
Great. Thanks, Bob. And Bob Hendricks?
Yes, on the solar energy front, in Austin, we have some, not enough, what is called community solar. This allows people whose roofs are shaded, who can't afford solar panels, to sign on to a very large solar project that the city, our city's energy utility does. And their electric rates are then tied to the cost of solar from then on, which has meant it starts out a little bit higher and then it gets cheaper over time. But this is a way, and the community solar is usually more efficient, cheaper per for the electricity than the smaller installations on rooftops. So if that is in your area, it's a great idea. And if they're considering doing it, you should also look into that possibility. Now, sometimes it may be done by someone making money, and they may be making so much money off of it that it's not as good of a deal. But so it all depends on whether it's a public or a private, and how the private does it. But it is something I think that's worth people looking into.
Great. Thanks for that input, Bob. And I will mention again, if your utility does have a green option, 100% green, that is, and you're more concerned about your carbon footprint, then that is a relatively inexpensive way to get there. I think I'm paying like maybe $3 more a month. There's no community solar here, but there is an electric option, and it's very inexpensive. Any other comments or questions? We are getting near our time. I do have one last thing to go over. So, and I think we will go over this again at subsequent meetings. It'll be in this deck also, but we wanted to start to tell you how you can log your actions for Electrification Month. And this is just going to the regular CCL action planner. This is the path that the Electrification Action Team is recommending. So go to the chapter in volunteer development, select that, click on the building electrification and efficiency. you click next, it'll take you to other, to choices here on the next page, which is to enter the details. Select other, describe your activity, and here are some examples. Completed the electrification planner, had a conversation with a friend about electrifying their home, or created an electrification dollhouse or tabling event, or just had an electrification tabling event. Just something that will enable CCL to track it. Then is a continue, and then it actually, if you're logged in, it finds out, which I think you have to be to get to the planner. It'll find your chapter, and you can add any other names who participated and submit. So 3 simple steps, but this is kind of the path that we're recommending for logging your actions. And again, this will show up in the next couple of weeks again also. So with that, any questions about tracking or logging your actions? Any other final comments? Okay, so our call to action today was plan to plan. So everybody have a good time, and we'll be back here next week talking about reaching out to conservative areas. So if you're small towns in conservative areas.
Very good meeting. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thanks, everyone. See you
Thank
next
you.
time.
Mark. Thank you, everyone.